Spencer Strider struggles again on Tuesday, but the offense doesn't pick him up. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Wednesday, June 4th. Your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X, Braves_today. We have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. And you can find all my written work, BravesToday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. On the Substack, today's 3 things comes out after every Braves game, breaking down what you need to know about from that game. We posted a second newsletter yesterday with a transcript of Alex Anthopoulos' media availability when he spoke to the media after the hiring of Freddie Gonzalez. That was an exclusive for paid subscribers. So BraveToday.com, go check it out. I want to talk about Wednesday's matchup, Chris Sale versus Merrill Kelly. I want to talk about the offensive struggles. They continue, obviously. But we need to discuss Spencer Strider, okay? Last night's game was a bit of a struggle for him, and it's a continuation of the struggles that he's had since he came back from his elbow surgery. Strider goes 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He gave up 3 home runs in the contest, 2 to Ketel Marte, 1 to Corbin Carroll, who together single-handedly destroyed Atlanta. But I want to talk about what Strider did. And by what he did, I mean from a mechanical standpoint, from a stuff standpoint, from the adjustments that he made, from that standpoint. Because you can see he is trying to change things to be better. And he made some steps last night, but there are obviously still some issues. And I think the biggest thing that everybody's going to point to is going to be the velocity. When Spencer Strider was at his best in that 2023 season, he was averaging like 97, 98 on the 4-seam fastball. He was able to reach back and get virtually elite velocity for a starting pitcher on his fastball. And when you do that, you're able to have a little bit more wiggle room if you miss with the location. And that's not necessarily something that Spencer Strider has right now. So in this one, he averages 95.2 miles an hour. That is his 2025 average. And I did a little bit of research into this, where there are some studies that say when you're coming back from the injured list, where your velocity is at the end of 3 starts is pretty indicative of where your velocity is going to be. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to slowly tick up over the course of the season, but the idea that he can just all of a sudden start pumping out 97 in the next start is not realistic. Now, the caveats on this are a lot of these studies are looking at guys coming back from elbow surgery. Strider does have the additional complication of he also went on the IL with the hamstring strain. And so I don't know if there should be a different expectation here for his stuff ticking back up. Because, again, the studies that I looked at were coming back from the elbow surgery. And I'm not delineating between internal brace and Tommy John here. They are different things, different rehab plans. I'm not delineating between those in this, but I do wonder if the hamstring strain may allow him a little bit more wiggle room to increase velocity as time goes on. But for the most part, your first 3 starts back, where your velocity is at the end of your 3rd start, is typically going to be in that same range going forward for that season. So this is, if that does hold in this situation, and again, there is a caveat here, if that does hold in this situation, this is a different Spencer Strider. And he's going to have to pitch differently. And we've seen him do some different things. I dove into a lot of the numbers from his start last night. Noticed a couple things. First, let's talk about what is different. So in that start last night, he threw 46% fastball, 35% slider, 13% curveball, 6% changeup. That 46% slider is his second lowest figure in a start of his career. So he is cognizant that he can't just stick fastball slider. If his stuff is diminished a little bit, he is going to have to be more varied. And we saw that. The issue you have here is the locations and then the fastball's not missing bats. So he got 22 swings on that four-seam fastball last night against Arizona. 1 swing and miss. 21 times that they swung, they connected. 8 were fouled off. 13 were put into play. 4 of those 13 were barrels. He gave up those barrels, and I think 2 of the 3 home runs he gave up were on fastballs. The first one was a hanging changeup. The rest of them were fastballs. And I did notice that he's had a subtle drop in his arm angle. It's not much, but what it's done is it's slightly affected the movement of his pitches. Okay? So there's a little bit more cut on his fastball. Not a lot. He's always been a pure backspin guy, but a little bit of cut there. The spin efficiency's down from like 99% to 95%. Most MLB pitchers are capping out around 95%. Strider just had literally one of the most efficient fastballs in baseball. Like literally he designed it to be as good as it was. So this is more of a league average fastball than it used to be. And actually, Stuff Plus actually has him down to a 96 on the fastball, which 100 is league average. So his fastball is technically right now with this lower velocity and this different shape is technically right now a below average fastball. And I think we saw that last night. I did notice he's moved about 8 inches towards first base on the pitching rubber. He used to be like dead smack in the center of the rubber, the center of the pitching rubber. And I noticed he's on the extreme first base side now. Part of me thinks that is his goal. That is his way of trying to reinforce that he can't miss middle. And Strider actually addressed this last. He didn't address the position thing, but he addressed pitching down the middle. And I think the quote I had here was, "Command without stuff is batting practice." That's about what I offered up today. I've got to be better just to give us a chance. Because again, all 3 of those home runs were 1 changeup, 2 fastballs down the middle of the plate. And when you're throwing 98, you have a little bit more leeway to throw down the middle of the plate and not give up a hit or hard contact. In Major League Baseball, fastballs down the middle in general have this season, this is attack zone 5, literally middle, have a batting average allowed of 328 and a slugging of 587. Okay? If you isolate to just 95 miles an hour, the batting average for a fastball middle is 331 with a 597 slug. So over a 300 hitter on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle of the plate. If you change this and you say 98 or harder, what happens? That batting average drops from 331 to 275. The slugging drops down to 370. They can put it in play. They're probably not going to do a ton of damage with it. And that is where we are right now. He's shifted on the rubber. He's mixing his pitches more. But the velocity's not there. And a lot of the medical literature that I've been reading on this to try to know what to expect here says that it's probably not going to significantly increase from where it is right now. Again, we have the caveat of maybe the hamstring injury is what could be different. Like maybe that can help him be better. And shout out to Brady Penn of 680 The Fan. He asked Strider in the postgame press conference about his mechanics and what he's trying to fix with the fastball. And Strider said, quote, "I think it's just producing velocity in my body. I don't think I'm moving particularly fast or getting into my lower half the way I need to." And so that gives me a little bit of hope that maybe as he continues to get away from the hamstring strain, we'll see a little tick up. Do I expect him to average 98 this year? No, but maybe instead of sitting 95, he can sit 96. Maybe instead of maxing out at 96.5 like he did yesterday, he can touch upper 97s or maybe even a 98 and have more stuff in the tank. In just a second, let's talk about the dynamics of this loss, though, because we saw two contrasting situations. Arizona's stars were starring, Atlanta's were not. We'll break that down next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby breaking down yesterday's game. Quick reminder, quick programming note. There will not be a show on Thursday because that is a day game and it starts just right after this show would end. But instead, we will have our live show on Friday at noon Eastern. Yes, I'm going to have roofers here. They're going to be putting a new roof on my house. Hopefully it's not too loud. Hopefully it doesn't drive us all nuts with the nailing or whatever they're going to be doing. But reminder, no show on Thursday because of the day game, but there will be a show on Friday. All right, so looking at this game last night, one of the big takeaways for me was how much more production you saw out of the top of Arizona's lineup than what you saw out of the top of Atlanta's lineup. The combination of Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte, batting first and batting second, 6 for 7, with a combined 4 home runs. They drew 3 walks, they scored 5 runs, and they drove in 7. 6 of 7, 4 home runs, 5 runs, 7 RBI, 3 walks. Atlanta, as a team, had 6 hits and 1 walk. And I think that's the situation you're facing. Like now, all four of the top 4 hitters, Acuna, Baldwin, Riley, Olsen, all had a hit here. They all had a hit yesterday. So they went 5 for 15. 333 is not bad. Atlanta got exactly 1 hit from guys that were not at the top up there and 1 RBI. And that was Ozzie always goes 1 for 4 with an RBI. He's continuing to be better after that dreadful start he had. Drake Baldwin had the home run. He was the MVP of the game. He had 2 different good defensive plays, a throw to second, a throw to first. The throw to second, I've talked about this on here before, but it is now a coaching point in Major League Baseball when you're facing a quick runner, somebody who is good at stealing, to take your throw up the first base side so that your defender, when he goes to get it, in this case it was Nick Allen, it cuts the distance. Like, it is closer to throw there than it is to throw to the bag. And you can get the runner. Like, it is you cutting the distance has more of an impact than cutting distance for the runner. I don't 100% understand that kind of aspect of it. But the point is, it is a coaching point now where they tell guys to throw to the first base side and maybe even a step or 2 up the line. And Drake Baldwin just made a fantastic throw. Nick Allen caught it right at Carroll's shoulder and just let the momentum of the glove, or of the ball in the glove, take it into Carroll's shoulder and tag him. The pickoff at first was a very similar, fantastic throw. Baldwin threw it low and right over the bag so Olsen could catch it and just swipe right at Ketel Marte. Now, in that case, Marte was swimming around it. Olsen had to initiate a second tag attempt. But the throw from Baldwin was fantastic, right on the money, and they made that play. We're getting to the point where it is becoming harder and harder to justify Drake Baldwin not playing 3 out of every 4 games. Yes, Sean Murphy is better defensively. Like, that is not debatable. Their OPSs are within 80 points of each other. They both have an OPS over 800. But the difference is Sean Murphy's batting 221, Drake Baldwin's batting 318. And while Murphy is the better defender, he's better than most MLB catchers at defense, Baldwin's gotten better. And while the offense is struggling like it is, you've got to play Baldwin more. I don't think they're going to do this, but I saw somebody on social media say the Braves should just lean into the Philly ball go boom, no defense thing and play Baldwin in left, play Eli White at shortstop. And I don't know if we're going to do all of that, but you've got to do something. The Braves have to get Baldwin in there more because the rest of the lineup isn't really carrying their weight. Nick Allen went 0 for 3 yesterday, struck out 3 times. I was convinced that Michael Harris being at the bottom of the order was going to be the thing that got him going. He did have a couple hard hit balls, but unfortunately went 0 for 3. He had a 106 mile an hour out and a 100 mile an hour out. The Braves as a team had some hard hit balls in here. Marcell Ozuna's fly out in the 8th inning, 106 off the bat, expected batting average of 840. Caught at the wall for an out. I wonder if there's a little bit less drag on the baseballs or if his hip's a little bit healthier, if that's gone, right? But the end of the day, the Atlanta Braves did not do nearly enough offensively to win this game. And the issue here was they put themselves in position to score runs twice in the game. Atlanta had a grand total of 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position. That's it. They got the home run from Drake Baldwin, was the first runs of the game, the first hit of the game. And then after that, the other 2 runs were on a gift from Eugenio Suarez. 2 outs, ground ball to third base, not even a hard hit ground ball. And it just goes right under his glove and rolls all the way to the corner. Good send by Freddie Gonzalez at third base to send Matt Olson. Olson was safe. The slide was awkward. He beat the throw easily. Just ugly slide. Maybe work on that. Not quite Brandon Gaudin levels, but not a great slide. Love you, Brandon, if you're listening. He's listening. I'm just convinced they all listen to my show. But the issue here was just Atlanta didn't do enough. And I think if you go to the 8th inning, you see some of this. So they don't get Gallen out until the 8th inning. He's been bad this year. He's had a ton of walks. So, of course, he makes it through the first 3 innings on 23 pitches because Atlanta's too aggressive at the plate. We've talked so much about them being too passive at the plate. And they flip the switch and they're too aggressive at the wrong time. Make him prove he can throw you strikes first. Because it's been a problem for him all season. Wasn't a problem for him last night. They were bailing him out over and over again. But anyway, they finally get him out for the 8th inning. He goes 7 innings with 1 earned run allowed because the other 2 runs were unearned. And Atlanta immediately starts a rally against the bullpen. The bullpen's been the weakness of this Arizona team. They've been awful. They've had a ton of guys hurt. So, of course, you're super aggressive against Gallen. Let him keep his pitch count down. Let him go 7. But Shelby Miller comes in. Ground ball from Ronald Acuna Jr. He's on first base. Drake Baldwin does ground into an out. So Ronald's out at second, but Baldwin's on first. Austin Riley singles him to second. And from that point, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna, and they don't get it done. Matt Olson strikes out on 6 pitches. He fouled off a middle fastball. 95.7 miles an hour, attacks zone 5, fouls it off. He gets a called strike on a splitter at the bottom that caught the edge of the zone. He didn't think it did. It did, according to StatCast. He also, the flip side of this, the first pitch of the at-bat caught the down and in corner and was called a ball. So it evens out. He fouls off a 4-seam fastball, belt high outer third, fouls that off, takes a splitter out of the zone, swings through a splitter below the zone, strikeout. Marcell Ozuna comes up, and he fouls off an outside sweeper. He swings and misses on a center cut fastball, 95.7. Both Matt Olson and Marcell Ozuna get 96-mile-an-hour fastballs right down the middle. Olsen fouls it off. Ozuna swings and misses. Ozuna takes a splitter low, and then he swings at a fastball up just above the zone. Again, hits it well, but it doesn't carry. Caught at the wall, for it out, and rally over. The most frustrating thing about this offense, and there's a lot of frustrating things about this offense, is how they're not doing the damage on fastballs down the middle of the plate. By far the most frustrating thing about this offense. And here's the thing. The contact is roughly the same, right? The batting average, roughly the same. 2023, they hit 372 on fastballs down the middle of the plate. This year, they're hitting 375. But their slugging is 100 points less. They're also swinging and missing less at these. Their whiff rate on fastballs down the middle of the plate, 15%. Still too high, but it was 17% in 2023. It was 19% last year. They're swinging and missing less. They're getting the same number of hits, but they're not doing the damage, the slug on those pitches. Again, more than 100 points lower than it was in 2023. And in 2023, they were unlucky because the expected slugging was over 100 points lower, or over 100 points higher than what their actual was. So the 2023 team was unlucky at crushing center cut fastballs, and they were still 100 points better of slug than this team is. And I know the 2023 season's an outlier. The baseballs were different. Everybody on the offense was a generational heater. But you can't help but be frustrated when you saw it work. You saw these same players be able to hit those pitches. And now they're swinging and missing less, but it feels like whenever they swing and miss, it's the most inopportune time, and it's the guys you most want to go up there and crush the ball. That is the most frustrating part. Because when you look at like the whiff rates on center cut fastballs for this roster, Marcell Ozuna, 27.8%. 1 in 4 swings on a center cut fastball he misses. Austin Riley, 25%. 1 in 4. Center cut fastball, he misses it. Matt Olson, 21.4%. Center cut fastball, he misses it. Sean Murphy, 15%. Center cut fastball, 1 in 6, he misses it. Like the guys who are not missing those pitches, Drake Baldwin, he has not whiffed on a single fastball down the middle this year. Now, he's only seen like, I think he's seen like 4? That he hasn't gotten the pitches to hit. Ozzy's not missing those. He has a 273 batting average, a little bit of bad luck there, and an 818 slug. 5% whiff rate. But your big guy, your stars, your Ozuna, your Riley, your Olsen, they're swinging and missing at pitches that they've got to hit. Austin Riley is batting 308 with a 385 slug on center cut fastballs. You've got to be better than that. And there's a million things we've got to fix about this offense, but that's got to be the most frustrating of all of them. Maybe they can fix it tonight. We'll see. Let's talk about Chris Sale versus Merrill Kelly. We'll do that next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby trying to lower my blood pressure after being all mad about this offense not producing like they should. Okay, Chris Sale versus Merrill Kelly tonight. Atlanta desperately needs this game. Oh my gosh, Atlanta desperately needs this game. And Chris Sale is facing Arizona again. Merrill Kelly's facing Arizona again. Neither team figured out this guy the previous time. So in their last game here, April 26th was Merrill Kelly. Let's do Chris Sale first, because we're not going to break down what Chris Sale throws. We know that. Chris Sale, April 25th in Arizona, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. No home runs allowed. He got the win. His last 4 starts against Arizona, he is 4-0 with a 2.61 ERA. That goes back to his Boston season in 23. But the point is, he has been very good recently against Arizona. Merrill Kelly, last time out against the Braves, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk to 4 strikeouts. He did give up 2 home runs in that outing. Marcell Ozuna took him deep in the first, solo shot. Sean Murphy took him deep in the second, solo shot. Of course, that's how things always seem to work for the Braves. But Atlanta did win that game in Arizona 8-7. They scored 5 runs on Arizona's bullpen. It was 2 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, right? So, reminder here for Merrill Kelly. The fastball's not been very good. He's not throwing it very hard this year. Its average is 91.9 miles an hour. Correction, the 4-seamer averages 91.7. He's also throwing a sinker at 92.2 and a cutter at 90.5. He has 3 fastballs here. But the percentages, 4-seam 25%, changeup 24%, cutter 18, sinker 13, curveball 11, slider 8. He's throwing a ton of stuff at you. The changeup has been very good for him. The breaking pitches have been good. The fastballs have not. The 4-seamer's allowing a 271 average. The sinker's allowing a 367 average. So the fastballs, again, have not been good for him. The changeup, a 173. The curveball, a 172. The slider, a 118. What the hitters are going to face, a lot of teams have stacked lefties against Merrill Kelly. And so when you do that, it is 4-seamer, changeup, cutter, curveball, some sinker. That is the pitch mix for a lefty. He literally has not thrown a slider to a lefty this year. 89 sliders, not a single one to a lefty. Last year, 135 sliders, 5 to a lefty. So again, if you're a lefty, don't even worry about the slider. He's using the curveball as his breaking pitch against you. For the righties, he leads with the cutter, followed by the 4-seamer, sinker, and changeup, and the slider. They're all almost the exact same. Like, it's literally like 19%, 19%, 19%, 19%, 19%. It is, you really have to be, like, you're going to get any of these pitches. The curveball, out of 120, he's thrown 22 to righties. So that's that last couple, like 5% there. But it's just, he could throw any one of 5 pitches to you. A lot of it's going to come down to situational stuff, right? He's going to go to fastballs behind in the count. He's going to go to the changeup and the slider ahead in the count, try to get whiffs. The primary put-away pitch for him, he's been using the cutter and the curveball. So the cutter's the put-away pitch to lefties. It's 22% put-away. The cutter, 32% put-away. So, again, you're going to stack up lefties against him here. You're going to see Verdugo in the lineup tonight. I would love to see Drake Baldwin get a second start, simply because Merrill Kelly is vulnerable to lefties. We'll see if Atlanta actually does that or not. And then some of the actual performance here. Marcell Ozuna's faced him one time, and that was this season, 1 for 3 with the homer. But Austin Riley, 12 at-bats. He's got 4 hits. He has a homer against him. Sean Murphy's 2 for 6 with a homer. Ozzie Albies is 1 for 9, but that one hit was a homer. Ronald Acuna Jr. is 4 for 10. Nick Allen is 2 for 5. A lot of these guys have had success. Matt Olson's never gotten a hit off of Merrill Kelly. He's over 10 in his career. But a lot of these Braves hitters, also Alex Verdugo is over 12. But a lot of these Braves hitters have had some success off of Merrill Kelly. And again, the fastball velocity is not great. They haven't been hitting for damage on the center cut ones. But Merrill Kelly is hittable. Question is going to be, does Atlanta's offense show up for this game? One, specifically the stars. Do they show up and actually perform tonight? Quick reminder, again, no show on Thursday because of the day game, but we will be back on Friday with our live show. So be ready with your questions. Be ready to come in the chat and talk, ask questions, have stuff for us, do all of that. Do me a favor, if you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we drop the next episode. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.